guys, Dorothy here with Done by Dorothy, and we're back today working on our Australia, for the Love of Australia journal. So we're going to get started with another one of our base pages. Just to let you know what I did so far. The only thing I did to prep this, just because it takes a while to dry, is I did cover it with gesso. So it has a gesso base. Other than that, that is it. And in my little jar here, I have just Elmer's glue all, but you can use any kind of white purpose glue or any kind of white school glue, Aleene's tacky glue, any kind of white based glue, PVA glue, whatever. I am going to open some of my little eyeshadow here and add some of the gold mica in there, just because I want it to sort of shimmer through. And let me grab my brush over here, and I am using a bigger sized brush, not a small, but you know, I think this one's probably about 3/4 to an inch. Okay, trying to clean it out a little bit. Hold on. Okay, and I'm gonna mix the mica up in the glue. It's going to get a little bit of a gold shimmer, not a lot, but a little bit. Sort of give it a brown color. Okay. And then I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to put a really nice thick layer of glue over top my gesso. And I don't have to put it everywhere. You can just put it in certain spots if you want. I'm going to do areas that are really thick and then areas that are not so thick, just because I think it looks better if you vary the thickness. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, even coats or anything. And if we have to, you know, make more glue, then that's fine. I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and coated, and I'm not going to do all of my brushes in the same direction. I want to vary the directions that my brush strokes go. I'm just going to make sure that I get my page nice and covered. I'm going to go ahead and scoop as much of this out as I can. And again, this is just white glue. I did, you know, and this is the LA Colors Shimmering Eyeshadow. You know what that is? Something had in my brush, I think. And again, you can make it as thick as this or as thin as you want. And I'm going to vary the angles that I do my brush strokes in again. Just make sure it's nice and okay. Then I'm going to rinse my brush out really good. Let me move this out of the way. Clear this off. And again, I'm just using this because I can clean it up really good afterwards. So I'm going to find another brush. This one's going to look dirty because I was using it earlier. And I'm going to use some of my, this is actually Clover Fields in green. And I'm going to, it's acrylic paint. Again, this is acrylic, this is Apple Barrel. I'm just going to paint over top of that glue. Just pulling down a nice coat. Trying not to smear it or blend it, just pulling down a nice thick coat. sort of spreading it. And I'm not worried about it. I'm just a nice coat. I'm trying to cover up where, you know, all of that glue is. So just sort of pull more paint and sort of put it on thick. And that's why you get those weird acrylic things in there. And again, this is just the apple barrel. I'm just going to actually squirt some on here and spread it out really nice. And it probably seemed like I put a lot on there, doesn't it? But I want to make sure that all of my glue is covered, and I'm just going to drag that down. And you have to do sort of light, because you will pull through to the glue if you're not really careful. And then when you get done with this, it's best to leave it set and let it dry over a period of time. I'm actually going to try to use my heat gun and dry it a little faster. Hopefully so you can see it as we go through it. And if you hear noise in the background, I'm sorry, my washer's going, so you may hear that. Some of these is really hard to get it covered up, even if you have a lot of paint on there. It just doesn't want to. Sometimes if you do it at an angle and just like I wish you could feel how light. I mean, I'm just barely touching. I'm not even really touching. I'm just sort of dragging it across. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone. Let me lift this up. Try not to get as much green paint on the other side as possible. I may get some. If it does, it'll just add to it. We can wash that off in a minute. Okay, let me grab my gun. So again, you're going to hear this, but again, keep it back at a distance. Don't lay it on top of it. Oops. No, we'll just have that spot in there. That's okay. I'm going to do some other stuff to it, so it'll cover up fine. So we're just going to dry it. And I just keep my gun moving because and hopefully, I'm hoping you guys can see as you're going. You're just going to keep drying it. Again, the paint, between the paint and the glue, it's pretty thick, so it does take a little bit. This is going to create a crackle effect. So it'll be really neat once it starts drying completely. And again, like I said, you know, if you're doing this and you're not like doing it for a video or rushing or whatever, you can let it dry overnight. Which makes it pretty neat when you just paint it and then go to bed and get up the next morning and it'll be all crackled and waiting for you. And when you vary the thickness, the thicker it is, like the bigger the cracks will be. Like you can see some of this over here where it's starting to crackle. The larger areas, the thinner the glue is, the smaller you won't notice the cracks as much. So it just sort of varies as you go. Okay, so I'm going to pause this and continue drying this till I get it done, and then I'll be back. Okay, and I'm back, and I don't know if you can see where it did the crackled effect. Now, some of these places I did put it on a lot heavier because I knew that's where I was going to put my picture for today, so it really didn't, you know, make too much of a difference. So, okay, and I want to use the blue wren, the male and female, so I'm going to do my bubble cutting again out of this because I'm actually going to cut around the name today. And then I'm going to actually cut around each bird individually, sort of creating two pictures out of the one. Because I thought it would be something a little different to show you, you know, you don't have to use them per se like we have been. Okay, and then let me grab my ink on my edges. And so we're inking these up. Okay, sorry about the silence there while I was doing that. And then they actually, let's see. Need to get my putty knife. And this is pretty dry, but I actually wanted to use some brown. It's not really golden, it's more of a brown, but I'm gonna use. And I've got my one stencil, which is like my favorite, so I'm gonna put it sort of over to the corner. And again, this is a thicker texture paste, so it's gonna be a little bit chunkier than the other. It's sort of real thick. Sort of almost like a mud. So I'm just going to take it and spread it out in a thin coat. Just sort of randomly stopping along the area as I go. And because it's as thick as it is, it actually does spread really nicely. And it means I can leave like a thicker coat. And I don't worry about it being perfect when I'm using texture paste because I'm doing it as a very rough type coat. And again, this is our DIY texture paste that we made ourselves. And you can see the more you rub it, the creamier it'll get. And then it'll glide on really smooth. So you could put it in a dish and, you know, mush it around to make it creamier, but I find doing it like this works just as good. Then once you move it around a couple times, it creams right up. And I do want to take this all the way down into my corner, just sort of create a bottom. And again, this is Deco Art Jacobean Floral is what this stencil is, and it is my favorite stencil, so you see it a lot when I stencil pages or when I do anything like this, because I just love the way it looks. I'm going to take this in the corner. And again, I can just keep moving that around, you know, thinning it out as much as I want so it's all even, or I just try to make sure it doesn't have all of these sort of slide it across, so you move that mark across. Sort of squish it on down here. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna lift, you know what, let's sprinkle a little bit of our mica on top before we move it. Try not to do big, because it will dry on there. Sort of give it a different look. And it'll look different than the glitter because it's a mica, so. And then I'm just gonna real lightly, yeah, it'll work. Just really lightly just sort of tap across the top, and that just sort of adheres it a little bit better. But it doesn't actually pick it up. It actually spreads it a little further if you have, you know, larger piles. It'll actually spread the mica out. Now I could take it and scrape it, but that's just going to shift it. By tapping it, it just moves around. Like you can see the mica. Okay. Let me grab my baby wipes so I can wipe my knife off. I don't like putting it with my other stuff with the mica on it because the mica tends to stick a little bit more. And then I'll put it down in my water so I can wash it. Okay, so that stickiness is where the paint dried, and some of it's not completely 100%. It's still a little tacky. Okay, I'm going to pause this and wash my stencil, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. So I got that washed. I also took a dryer and held it just like we did with the paint up to sort of pull it off a little bit to dry it off, or to dry it so it won't be, although the mica will transfer for a while. Okay, so I also went and I got some of the paper bark that Kamali sent me, and I actually want to use this side, sort of the darker side than the lighter, and I'm gonna grab my Fabri-Tac. Let me put my, well, and I actually want to glue this down. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac because I want to make sure that it's, you know, going to stick. I don't want it to fall off, especially since it's a natural bark. So I'm just going to really, Fabri-Tac doesn't want to work today. I need to lengthen the hole in there. I thought it was big enough, but it may need a little bit more. And I'm just going to put some Fabri-Tac along there. Trying not to break it because it's so fragile. Okay, and I'm actually going to just sort of pull it off the side of my page like that. Push it down to adhere it with the Fabri-Tac. Sort of squish that Fabri-Tac around. Try and get rid of the strings. Yuck. Okay. You see that came apart, so let me actually use my, because technically my art glitter glue should work. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on this little piece that broke off. Since it did break off, we're going to put it on here like it broke off into, so it gets art glitter glue, so it'll dry clear, so I don't have to worry about that, which makes it nice. There we go. Okay, so down here in my corner down here is where I'm going to put my name. So let me glue that down through here. There we go. And then I want to put let's trim this one a little bit closer to the little feet down here, so it'll look like it's setting on the branch. That's sort of cute, and the tail will stick up off the top. Let's glue this down. You know, and then this one I'm going to put sort of like it's setting over here on top of the name, sort of up into where we used our texture paste. Sort of give it a little prop up in there. And I mean, technically I could bring it over here and sit on any of these little branches over in here even, if we wanted to. Yeah, how about we do that? It'll sort of cover some of it up, but that's fine. We're using it for a background anyway. Make sure we we go. And since we have all this all there, I do want to do a tab, but I want to do it at the top. So I'm going to use some of this fabric that Kamali sent. Let's do the prettiest yellow color. And then we'll use some cheesecloth in there because I have this little scrap, so we might as well use it. Because, you know. This is some plain, and then maybe we'll use a little slither of the green cheesecloth. Or you know what, hold on. I have some of this, and it's, oh, let me see what it says. It's metallic and polyamide, but it's almost like a sari type, and it's got green and gold in it, so it works really well. So let's see how we want to do this. Tie this into a knot. We'll put this on one side, flip it over so we'll have the little dangles off the top. So let me, it's my Fabri-Tac, and sort of, I'm going to go down here in the bottom where I'm going to put that and put some glue. I have to open my hole, I think, up in my Fabri-Tac. I think my hole, I haven't opened it up far enough yet. Let me stick that in there. It doesn't want to stick. And that'll sort of put those sticking up at the top, which will look really cute. And we're going to staple that so it'll be fine. And I'm just going to put this up here in the top corner because there's sort of that blank area up in there. And that'll add a little color. Little tabbies sticking up. Make sure I don't get my little bow part stapled to the other side. Okay, and that just sort of sticks up randomly at the top. So there's our page, and you can see we have our crackle effect in the background, but we've got this texture paste over top, which I love. We got the bark over here, and then the little birds, a little nameplate, and then we've got our little tab at the top just to add a little color. There's our other part. I did get some of my gesso came across, but that doesn't really bother me. I actually sort of like that with the little, because I mean it just makes it look like it's aged a little. I'm going to fold this back a little bit so I can ink the back of that so it's not so bright white sticking through there. And I may do that over here with, sort of take where that gesso is so it's not so bright white, at least around the edges. Yeah, so there we go. So let's get this added to our book, and that'll be our page for today. And then tomorrow when we come back, it'll be a little bit longer because we're actually going to do 2 pages front and back on the next couple ones. Oh, let me, this one hole down here I've got paint in, it's dried, so it'll punch out without a problem. Okay, then pull this over. There we go. for a cover, and this one up here just doesn't want to really stick. I think I'm gonna have to find another. I don't know if they just, like, when they made that, it was too loose. So I mean, you can see we go from, it's a little different. Into that, and then you have 2 more base pages, well, 4 pages to do, but we'll do 2 and 2, so this should be done by like the 12th or 13th. We should have these done and be able to start adding. See, that's not connected. I think it's where they've not, I have to pull another one out. I have another one I'll have to, well, there's one. Go ahead and pull it out. Just, I don't know if it's where they made it, and it's, I bought some of these from the Dollar Tree, so it could be that one of these is from the Dollar Tree and the other ones are from Walmart, so it doesn't, see, that one sticks really good. And then when we get the other 2 done, I'll just do all of the grommets at one time, because I think it's easier just to do all those at once versus one here and one there. Okay. Yeah, see, that holds a lot tight. Yeah, that's, there we go. So we have all those. We have the other 4 page, but so then that even added a little color up there, which sort of goes with the yellow, so it doesn't look bad. So there we go. So that is our page for today. Get it closed here. And as you can tell, I mean, we're starting to get lots of little stuff. See, I sort of like that with the gold hanging out at the top like that. And we're going to use that around our little rings when we get that going too. So yeah, we have quite a bit of little things going on in there. So okay, I will let you go for today. I will see you back tomorrow for our next pages. So you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.